Hello, welcome to Get Your Mind On. I'm Lori Stohs. So isn't it interesting that we all want to belong? Many of us want to be part of something and want to belong, but yet many of us want to be valued by our differences. We're so different. Each one of us are unique. Each one of us brings something special. Each one of us has talents and strengths and come from a different background and culture and beliefs. Isn't that amazing? But yet, isn't that confusing? Many times when we think about all the people in our workplaces today, we have 5 generations right now, which is alluding to lots of differences that are occurring in the workplace. So when we think about that, we all want to belong to something, but we all enter that relationship or that environment with what we are and who we are and those differences that we each bring. When we think about our differences, we think about differences in our values, how we approach things. Some of us have a really strong value set. All of us may say we have values, but some of us really make our decisions day to day in our workplace because of the values that we bring. The right from wrong, the different levels of honesty, the different levels of integrity. It's all relative. We all come from different cultures. We maybe are in different countries that we were raised, in the farm, in the city, in suburban areas, in very different cultures that we were raised, some religious, some not, some Buddhist, some Hinduism, whatever it might be. It might be that culture that's been surrounding us that really helps us think about the beliefs that we have around people. We all bring different talents. We bring different talents in the way we think, the way we act, the way we build relationships, the way we execute, the way we really think about how we influence others, and how some of you think people are so aggressive. I can't imagine them being that aggressive, because that's not your style, because you're really more the calm and patient one and kind of lets things unfold and take it as it is. Those are difference in talents. These all bring value. Right? We all bring value based off who we are and what we bring. Whether it's the values that we withhold, the culture that we have, the talent that we have, it's all different. And so how do we really work through this? When we're working together by each other day by day, how do we really understand all of that? Because each one of us are complex, and each one of us are different and difficult. Because really, if you just overlay those 3 things I just talked about, values and cultures and talents and beliefs, I mean, that's really 4 different things. When you see somebody, all of that is playing into their mindset. So when I think about a manager managing people, we have to really step back. If you're in that manager or leader role, you really have to step back and think about what works for you doesn't work for others. We can't take our splattering effect of treating everybody the same and hoping that we're effective. We really have to look at each individual team member, each person that you're dealing with, and think about who are they. So what does that do? That causes time. And I find many managers are frustrated and come to me going, oh my gosh, I'm just hitting my head over and over again because I don't get it, I don't understand it, and they just won't do it this way or they just won't do it that way. That's when we're frustrated, because we're really not taking the time to understand the person. Now, some of you as managers are very good at this, because you know each person is an individual and each person needs to have time with you to really understand who they are. So that's really something we have to think about. And I know a lot of managers are so busy, and they're working managers. Many of you are doing your roles and you're managing people. So that people stuff is just one more thing. I want you to think about that different. I want you to think about how you can take time with those people one-on-one and really build that relationship and really get to understand them. Now, some of you may say, but Lori, I don't make my people my best friends. This is about work. And I'll say it is about work. But for us to work together and to be effective together, we really have to understand each other. So however you can get to that point, sometimes you'll understand each other by working together, right? As you work through things. But I would have you think about, when you're working with your employee, pause once in a while and ask a question, or really find a discovery and go, wow, you think about that differently. Tell me about that. Just so you can really move that forward. Or, of course, having the one-on-one conversations with people and getting to know them is important too. But I know sometimes people feel like they're invading other people's privacy if they're asking too personal questions. So do it however it's comfortable, but you have to do it. So that's really when you think about what works for you and what works for the other person, it could be layers of things. Even if you have similar talent, you might come from a very different belief system. Even if you have similar cultures, you have very different talents. So that's what makes us unique. The other thing I want you to think about is if you're an employee thinking about partnering with somebody, those kinds of differences as well, as how we really just have to take time to each know each other best. But we have to share with our manager what we need and what we believe. And so I had a situation this week with a leader, and she was struggling because there were some things going on, and it was a little difficult for her because she just had that feeling in her stomach that it wasn't right, that we weren't treating people the way she thought we should treat them. And so we had some conversation about that, and she has a very strong belief system and a very strong relational system. And she knew that people were in pain and hurting because of some situations that had happened that week. So I said, you need to have that conversation with your boss. And although she was, at a high level, she was like, oh, I don't know if I should. I said, this is who you are. And for you to work through this and get through this, you have to talk to that person about it. So she went through the week and had that conversation, and what a relief it was, because she felt heard, she felt understood, and she felt that that was valued. Her manager heard her. So us as individuals reporting to others, we still have to help our managers know who we are and what's important to us. Because if we don't do our part, we can't expect our manager. They're busy and they have lots of things. It's their job, but it's also our job to be honest and truthful and take things to them so we know that they understand us. It's our opportunity to open up. If it's not a safe environment where you think you might lose your job, and that was a conversation this gal and I had, is she goes, gosh, what happens? And I said, you know what, this is so important to you that if that manager doesn't respond in a positive way, I think that tells you something else about the manager and your relationship, that maybe you have to consider this is the right job or not if this continues for you and you feel so heavy inside. So I think that's important for you. The last thing I want to cover today is really facilitating the differences between people. As managers, you have groups of people that you work with, right? And you're working with teams. You also have to become a facilitator of other people's values, beliefs, cultures, talents. So think about that when you're working on projects and there's conflict. You need to become the facilitator of helping people be understood, feel understood, and having those conversations. So make sure you don't forget to play that role as well, is stepping back and really understanding each individual side before you bring everything together so that way we can minimize the conflict. So for positive charge this week, differences. We really think about, number one, what are the differences that you see in yourself that are valuable? 2, what conflict happens in your workplace because of differences? And 3, what role can you play to resolve those differences? We all have that sense of belonging, that we want to be a part of something, and we build great organizations together because we know when we collaborate, things are better for us, they're better for our customers and the outcomes that we're creating for an organization. But sometimes those differences get in the way. So take some time this week to value the differences of each individual brings, because we make everything more engaging for all of us in the workplace and in our lives. Thanks for joining us today, and remember to get your mind on.